Oh, it doesn't matter what I do. I can't do a thing with this hair this morning. Life is priceless. You're priceless. And I am feeling it. Shocking, upsetting, and puzzling. I have a friend, and I'm not going to say in past tense because that makes it final, and I'm not ready to make it final. And maybe that's part of the grieving process. This friend of mine, uncanny knack for getting people ticked off at him, and then they eventually, hopefully anyway, turn around and realize that he's just, he's just who he is. For the last almost 5 years, this friend of mine, he's disabled, for lack of better words. He's had a lot of surgeries and is failing health. And the one thing was killing him, he wouldn't stop doing, and that was smoking cigarettes. I guess the reason I'm having a hard time wrapping around what's been going on the last shot that helps you to stop smoking. And the only way he would go is I went with him. Ironic. A few days later, I go to check up on him. And then I start doing my cleaning because I would go. He had major issues with his back. It had gotten damaged by a ex-girlfriend. And so it was not even 5 minutes I was there. This was just 3 days ago, April 1st, 2022. And then I walked into his bedroom to see if he needed anything. And this, when you find someone like that, someone that you love, hate, he's irritating, but I still like him. He's kind of like a little brother. As a matter of fact, when we first met, he would call me ma'am all the time. Saying, I'm more like a big sister to you. He said, well, then I'll just call you sis. And he would call me. It was kind of a sister-brother relationship anyway. He was a pain in the butt sometimes, and I'm sure I was a pain in the butt to him, but that's what siblings do. We're not even blood related. But it felt like it. And I walked in his room. It was in the afternoon, around 3 o'clock. And the weird thing is, both my husband and I, we've been brother. Chris was on his mind too that morning. And he said he couldn't put his finger on it. And we were going to borrow his truck because I need to get some bags of dirt for my garden. And Chris, when he became more disabled than normal, he said, whenever you want to use the truck, you go ahead and use it. He said, I can't, I'm not using it. You don't use it. He said, so at least I was so proud of him for doing that. But we had a hard time getting him to do that, though. He had the means to do it, but he kept struggling financially so bad, and the truck payment was killing him in the financial part. So finally got him to pay his truck off, and he did that. Good job, Chris. You finally did something that makes sense. Well, that us that love you, told you needed to do to get your head above a while. And we were just dragging our heels Friday morning. So we got over there. I walked in that room, and what I saw, and my gut knew what I was looking at. The shell of the person I knew. The shell of my little brother. So I reached out and I touched his arm. It was cold, kind of clammy. And I dialed 911 right away. There was no life there. I knew it. And then I got a good close look, and his lips had already turned. And I knew he was gone, but It was like a mood point. And she was going to stay on the line with me. And I said, no, it's okay. So I went and stood out on his front porch and waited. You know, when you're experiencing something, you do go into a kind of a state of shock because you're like, you have someone who's on the phone with you and they're saying, is he breathing? Gotten through this course and I knew how to take a pulse and I knew how to take, you know, see what respiration was. And I couldn't find his pulse at all. More than 3 days before it was good and strong. 3 days can happen and change thing go fast. And then you find out just that they're not seeing what the living are seeing. But I wasn't ready for Chris to go. And he wasn't ready to go either. Because before he was talking about this new medical procedure that doctors had mentioned to him. He was ready to have it done. He said, I don't care as long as he gets rid of the pain. I don't care if I'd never walk. Or he said, but I can't stand this pain. And so he wasn't ready to go. He was going to fight it. He'd been big sister that he would get the shot to stop smoking. I took care of my little brother in ways I never thought I would ever do with any human being, not even a blood relative. You know, he'd had open heart surgery and he needed an antibiotic and a medication to keep his blood from causing blood clots after his heart surgery intravenously. I'm not a nurse. Showed me how to take care of Chris. He needed to keep him alive so he wouldn't have any complications. And he trusted me doing that. And I did it. I didn't feel so stupid when I was doing something so medical, you know. That's how I realized that everybody's priceless. And so I am there waiting for the EMS or EMTs. The police get there first. And they ask me their questions and all of that. And the whole time I'm thinking, what? Now what? You know, it's like my routine of taking care of Chris is done. Except for this part. I had to go through this once before. In 6 days afterwards, it only took for him to be gone. And I did this crazy thing like some of us will do where we think if we do one certain thing that it'll keep that person alive and they'll still be there for us. So to tell me and show me that he was gone. I know what a heart monitor machine looks like and what a flat line looks like. I think everybody knows that from TV shows of emergencies and hospitals and things like that, but never ready for it. And you know, because the next day I'm yelling, I'm like, Chris, I kind of am. And I'm not angry at Chris anymore. He never really showed it until this past week. You could really tell that he was suffering, and sometimes takes away the pain for good. But those of us who are left behind feel cheated, you know? We're not immortal. That I believe God says enough's enough. And eventually he's going to say enough is enough with the people who are being very ugly about my relatives. You know, he had siblings and they'd all have their falling outs like families do, you know, or not. I don't know of any family that's not a little bit dysfunctional, tough things. Well, I'm no different Chris are different. But one thing was, I finally did get to speak, talking to him, that they had finally found each other again as far as brothers goes, and that makes me feel really good because his brother was very nice on the phone, and I told him how he called me Big Sis and how I thought of him as a little brother because I never had one. But then there's always that other person, that one family member, and it just happens to be the sister-in-law, and all of a sudden things got ugly. It's not right when someone is no longer here. And this is my personal opinion, and you can disagree with me if you want. But when that person's gone, expressed that they wanted to happen with anything would be really important, especially to those closest to him. And that those people closest to him would recognize someone else even closer, like a caregiver, and how it affects that other person. Like for me, I lost a family like I did Friday afternoon. He was alone, people. Him and his two sweet dogs. And I'm really upset because at some point the pain stops. Right now it's real fresh. And I just wanted you all to know that I'm human. You're human. Life is too priceless and too precious to just let it slip through your fingers in the best way that you can. And if you don't know how to deal with stuff, and I'm here working on a gift for my daughter, and I can't sleep. I'm worried about his girls, and I'm scared to death that the sister-in-law is going to have them in Chris's house. Don't touch anything. Don't do this. Don't do that. And I'm fulfilling my little brother's wishes, and nobody is listening. And then you find out that the neighbor who you, my little brother, didn't want the neighbor ever stepping foot inside his home. I didn't know that. He told his girlfriend many times. He never told me. I knew he didn't really care for them, but I didn't know it was that bad. Didn't understand. Then I come to find out one of them is best friends with the fly in the ointment. One person who wanted to accuse me of stealing Chris's vehicle. Yeah. That's when it gets ugly. That's when greed comes in. You ever had a family member that passes on and all of a sudden everybody decides they just want his stuff or her stuff, and they don't know what they've got, but they still want it because there's got to be money there? Money's the root of all kinds of evil, and that comes and goes. And it's not worth putting a dart in now. My poor grandmother lived it when her husband passed. And my own family, my aunts and uncles and my own mother, they were just like fussing over my grandfather's stuff. He didn't have anything hardly. My little brother, Chris, he doesn't have anything. What do they think? He's got $1 million stuffed under his mattress or something? There's nothing there. I never wanted to find my little brother dead in his room in his house. I guess I'm doing okay. I'm worried about the dogs. Caramel and Shorty was so sweet. I wish I could have found them a home before this extended, ugly, evil, kind of greedy monster married into the family people got involved. I would love to talk to he has adult kids, and I've never met any of them. Oh, they had a falling out. No, Chris had told me that his kids were poisoned against him by their mothers. And I guess that's the truth because I've never heard anything from them. And and it tore him up. He wanted so badly to have a relationship with all of his kids, and he wasn't afforded to because of stuff that was said. This dude Precious. Why would you separate a father from his flesh and blood? Doesn't make any sense. Why would you turn a child against their parent? Doesn't make any sense. Well, just because you're pissed off because you got hurt? That it takes two to tango. It takes two people to make a relationship, and if one screws up, the other one's probably added to it. It doesn't take just one person to screw it up. Most of the times, it's two people screwing it up because they don't listen to one another, they don't talk through things, and they don't sit down and actually work at it. And it's, I've been there myself. I take full blame for the stupid stuff I did. But Chris doesn't deserve this. He doesn't deserve someone who's not blood related causing now. God took him home to take away pain, and now all of this is going on. I guess my only solace in it is the fact that my grandmother would always tell me, she says, God doesn't like ugly. And that's her way of saying, people who do ugly things when someone is no longer around, or even when they are still around, that eventually will deal with them. I may not be alive to see that card dealt. Rather aware that Chris isn't a bad guy. He made some dumb decisions, but doesn't everybody? But he never did anybody to hurt anyone to the point where my husband and I had befriended him and gave him things. He became family, okay? That's what people do for one another. If you believe in what, you know, the Bible says about loving one another, it doesn't mean you have to love them, but show them love. And so we showed him love. And he had a place to sleep. He didn't have to worry about sleeping in his truck and making that his home. Some people live out of their cars, and I can't imagine, especially in cold states. They get all kinds of snow. Of course, now it's becoming summertime, but before he died, touched, and he started having all these health issues and had doctor's appointments. My husband would take him, and I would take him. We took him to surgeries. We brought him home. We did all the things that a family should do and is supposed to do for one another. We weren't even blood related, but he became our brother. But that doesn't matter to people who are greedy. And that's the hardest part right now that I'm having to deal with. You get angry and you're sad and you feel helpless and you feel like you're able to pull something out of your head and fix it. There's no fixing ugly. But his kids don't know he was not a bad man at all and that he thought about them all the time. And I don't know how to tell them because I don't know how to reach them. And I know that the sister-in-law is not going to give me any information. She even pretended to be the brother. That is underhanded. That is devious. It's wrong. But that's what demons are. People that allow the demons into their soul because of greed. And you have to be strong. You have to recognize it when you see it. You have to be real careful. I've had to be real careful. And but when it got to the ugly part, the ugliest part of being accused and of stealing my little brother's truck, they had it. Demons are out there, and they come in all shapes and sizes, and some of you don't even know until they rear their ugly head. So then you sit and you got to do a lot of praying, and the praying parts, can't. And you say, well, he wasn't. Where were you when he needed medicine administered intravenously? Did you pay for a nurse to come and do it for him? No. And it's not like he doesn't have family members who could have helped him, and they didn't. And maybe that's the deal. Maybe they're having a hard time dealing with their own self-guilt. Well, good. That's one thing that I can kind of like hold on to. My little brother, Chris, loved his dog. Caramel and Shorty, sweetest little critters ever. And he was convinced that his brother's multiple dogs and cats at his home, and he really couldn't. I said, well, I've talked to my husband. I said, if we could, we would take them, but we don't have anywhere to put them. We don't have a fenced-in yard, and these dogs like to run around. And so I'm trying to find them a home. And when I'm told by the untrustworthy neighbor lady that they've found a place for them, I know it's a lie. The county that my little brother lives in, it's a kill shelter. They find out the dogs don't have any owner anymore. They just put them down, and those two dogs still have a lot of life in them.
Call from +147.
They're just like full of life, and they deserve to live. Their life is priceless too. I know it's not just for humans. Animals are priceless. They give us a reason to keep going. And those two little pooches kept him going. He loved them. He didn't want to leave them. So just know one thing. You have grief, you have anger, you have denial, you lash out, you to me, they say. But sometimes normal doesn't feel so good. But that's how we're wired. So don't ever think that all the crazy things that go through your head when you lose someone you love, that there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. You're still as priceless as you were the day you were born, even before you were born. And precious. Life, love, family. Just sitting here trying to figure it all out as to better according to them. That's, I know I'm not. But the things that we talked about, the things we cried about together and stuff like that. But I do. I guess that's what's the important part. I know. And I just pray to God every day, especially now, that Caramel and Shorty don't get put down, and you can pray them home. Or I have to check my GoFundMe because I was trying to raise money to build a dog run so we could take them because they're their Uncle Bill. Because yesterday was our last day to see them. Because now we can't go and see them to make sure they're okay anymore. Just need a lot of prayers. And any of you who may be going through a grieving process, if you need it, please comment. And I'll make sure you get right on my prayer tree. Because I have found about myself that when I have someone to pray for, I don't really have time to think about what I'm away from yourself. Because like when I meet young gals that have been in abusive relationships and I pray for them, it helps. And that's what the word says about loving one another. That's part of it. When you love up on one another instead of hating up on one another, you don't have time to let the ugly stuff in. And then everything starts healing. And Lord knows we need a lot of healing. When I say we, I mean Everyone in this world has a lot of healing needed. Spiritual, mental, physical, you name it. There's a lot of hurting going on in heaven because he's sitting at the right hand of the Father. And the position his body was in, he did not go the way he would have wanted to go. He was trying to get up and move and get out of his bed, and he didn't make it. And that's what, at the very end, and I wasn't there to help. And the people who are supposed to love him are putting this ugly darkness over his memory. And I guess a part of me just basically on hold, because anytime Chris needed something, we were there. We were there. Not his family. His family. We were his family. And if that's what's getting under their skin, good. Now, if you have a friend or someone who you love in spirit and all, and you do the things for them that we did for Chris, then God bless you, because eventually they're going to get chastised and they're going to get reprimanded for it. And I don't know how that all works. I just know that it's the truth. It's written in the words. Keep your head up. I'm trying to keep mine up. I just want to make sure that his 2 baby girls, he called them his girls, that they're going to be okay. Because their lives are just as priceless and just as precious as you or I or any other human. Our pets are like family. They're like our kids. And for anybody to think they're just a man of life because it's like fresh and finding someone, it's a struggle. I know I'll survive it. I survived my father-in-law's death, and that was hard. This is harder because I didn't find my father-in-law dead, but I did find my little brother gone in his room. If anything that I have shared with you touches you, good bit, give a thumbs up for my video. I don't care if you subscribe or not, just so you're there to listen. That's it. That's why I do this, for people to identify, listen, and share my video. If you know someone who's hurting, so that they can see they're not alone in it either. If you want to subscribe, by all means do. Lord knows I'll have more than life to deal with before God takes me off of the demons that are out there. You might want to give them benefit of the doubt, and then you find out they really are demons. They're not loving family people. They're someone just looking for what they can get out of it. And they usually have other little demons working with them. I found out that the one lady next door is a very close friend of the sister-in-law who's causing all this grief and all this greed. And she's got the whole family stirred up. And so let's support one another, because you are priceless and life is precious. And we can't ever forget that. God bless you for your thoughts, your prayers. And if you need them, please comment and let me know if I can pray for you for any reason whatsoever. It gives me some worth or substance to help. Sorry for the tears, but I'm an emotional critter. And you're priceless. And I appreciate all of y'all, especially those who have the strength to leave a comment once in a while, because that means you're not afraid to talk to the soul now. I'm going to be 65 years old at the end of this month. And I'm actually looking forward to it. I don't feel that old, but there's still more I have to do, and I just don't know what it is. And I think this might be one of those things. God's not done with me yet either. Have a blessed morning, a great week. God bless you all for just letting me unload. I love you guys.